30 years of the best sports talk in Middle Tennessee, featuring Tennessee Radio Hall of Famer George Plaster, Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame coach Watson Brown, and young guns Billy Derrick. And now, here's your host, George Plaster.
But you as the hitter, the catcher, or the pitcher can challenge the pitch. And if you're correct in the challenge, you get to you retain that challenge. You get 3 a game. If you challenge it and you're wrong, you lose that challenge. Now you're down to 2. It's fun. You know how in tennis they challenge it in and out? This is the same way. This is the same way. So it works. If you're correct in the challenge.
So I'm hearing you in the background. We'll get this fixed here in just a second. Let me try this. That you grew up in a catcher world where you were the person that called the pitch. And now it seems like, first of all, we had the managers from the dugout doing it. Then now it seems like we've got the pitcher doing it. Let me try this. That you grew up in a catcher world. Let's see if we can make this work. That called. What's the right way? Because it seems to me there's a human element that still needs to be there.
Well, as far as calling pitches, The catcher and the pitcher still call pitches in pro ball. I haven't called a pitch 5-6 years. Nobody in professional ball calls pitches from the dugout. What they do is we prepare. We have meetings before. We'll have a meeting the night before. But now high school and college, the coach calls every pitch. It's total control.
And I get that at that level.
Well, I'll disagree with you because now we get them in pro ball and they're not ready for pro ball to call their own game. We have to teach them how to call it. So it changes the dynamics. I mean, but in say the college world, those coaches want total control because they only have 50, 60 games and they can't afford to lose a ball game because the catcher makes a mistake. For us in the minor leagues, we want them to learn, and you learn by making mistakes. So for us, it's a learning process. We just have to teach the catcher and the pitchers how to call a game, how to work the hitter. Our eyeballs tell us what this guy's adjusting to, and we go from there.
When you were a major league catcher, did pitchers shake you off very often?
There were times, but not as much as maybe they do today. I think we prepared differently back then. At least for me, my pitchers trusted what I was doing. They wanted to trust. It makes it a heck of a lot easier when all you have to focus on is the pitch and the location, rather than saying, "Okay, I'm setting up for 2 pitches away." As a catcher, you're calling this pitch now, but you're setting up for 2 pitches later also to make sure that if you don't get him out on this pitch, I know what pitch I'm going to.
Or as Joe Garagiola used to call it, the pitch of decision.
Correct.
Yeah. Correct. So are we headed toward a world where home plate umpire doesn't exist?
No, I think the home plate umpire, that's why I think the challenge system is what Major League Baseball will go to. The umpires are going to call a game. You know, they're correct 95, 96% of the time. That's a pretty good percentage.
Right.
The good ones. Now, the bad ones, they're not. Unfortunately, they don't get rid of the bad ones. They keep them in the game. The union doesn't let them get rid of them. If they were on a system like players are, where you got to produce or you're out, I think that would be a better system. But there, I'm going to get myself in trouble by.
There's a memo coming.
Oh, I'm sure, and I'm sure. I talk bad about unions. You can't do certain things, but when you get older, you get to go ahead and speak your piece.
Yeah, because if they do something, you can just say,
"What the heck? They're going to fire me?" Yeah.
So, on this level, I can remember when I was doing games, the young umpires coming up trying to learn. Because people forget that side of this. The players obviously are at these levels to learn and get better, but the umpires are too.
Oh, they're the same way. Actually, most umpires know me now. I would say 3/4 of the umpires in the big leagues I know because I've had in AAA. I've been doing AAA so long. They all come through. I get to know most of them. I treat them like I treat my players. They're trying to get better. They're trying to get to the big leagues. I try to help them get better. And that means arguing and challenging things and going out and getting into them. But I think for the most part, they'll listen to me. They say, "Okay, sweetie, what do you got? What do you got?" And I'll tell them what I have. And they say, "Well, I disagree with you." Or they might say, "Well, I think I got it right." And then we can go from there. But overall, yes, the umpires are trying to get to the big leagues.
Isn't the key to all of that, whether it's football, basketball, baseball, that you pick your spots?
Sure. You pick your
if you're
spots
doing
for
it
everything.
if you're doing it for 9 innings, they're going to tune you out.
Well, and if you're doing it all the time, absolutely. It's like if you yell at your kids all the time, pretty soon they just click you out and they're not going to listen to anything. If you pick your spots and the timing's right, there are times I'll go out and get thrown out of a ball game. I left the dugout knowing I'm going to get thrown out. And you know what? The umpire might be right, but I'm going to protect my player. I'm going to protect my team. So I get thrown out of a ball game. That happened last year. I got thrown out of a game simply because we weren't playing very good. The umpire's call, I didn't care if he was right or wrong. It didn't matter. The timing was perfect to go put a little scene on and protect my guys. And I did it. And, I think that's part of the game. Pick your spot.
Will an umpire ever a day later say, hey, let's talk about this again. Tell me what you saw, because maybe I'm not certain that I'm 100% right.
Well, the nice part, and the good ones do that. Today's game, when we play our game today, not only do we have the cameras from the sounds, which I think we have 5 or 6 set up, we have 9 cameras set up for us personally, that we have a video guy all over this field. We see every play. I go out all the time. I'll probably get in trouble for this too. I'll go out and argue with
I'm going to help you.
Oh,
I'm going to stand up for you. I'm going to protect you.
I appreciate
that'll
that.
Get you.
I'll go out and argue with an umpire, and I say, I'll bet you a 6-pack of beer that you're wrong. and I've had umpires say, I'll take you up on that.
Right.
And I go in and get it checked real quick, because I got to know I'm wrong most of the time, and I swear I was right to begin with. I call the clubhouse guy right there, say, hey, get 6 of them on ice, as cold as you can get it, put it in the umpire's room.
An old teammate of yours.
He's got to be real old if you're calling him an old teammate.
The late, great Gaylord Perry.
Oh, yeah.
Used to come into to Nashville and to Lebanon for a medical center. And so he would come on our show, and the first time he ever came on, I looked at him and I said, Gaylord, this is not going to be your normal interview. I know more about you than you do. Now, I can't totally go with some of his responses, but what started to happen was year in, year out, this happened for about 10 years. He told me some great Billy Martin, Earl Weaver stuff. And they hated each other, and they both loved getting into it with umpires. Is that something Major League Baseball's starting to miss? Is a little bit of that stuff?
Probably, but that stuff used to happen because they didn't have phones around. You could go out and do something, say something, and it wouldn't be recorded. You can't do anything today without it being recorded. And
Gaylord would not like that.
Oh, Gaylord would be in big trouble if that was today. So that's why a lot of that stuff's gone. You can't do that stuff, not today, because it's going to be recorded. Now, some of them are Earl Weaver and Billy Martin, but not the real good stuff. Not on them, because the cell phones weren't around then.
The thing, this is not exactly this just in. He was a giant of a man with hands.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. But a real reality. When you caught him, was he pretty much calling his own stuff?
Without a doubt. If you remember, he added and subtracted. He
did a lot of this too.
Oh, he did a lot of that.
He did a lot of that.
I caught Gaylord in the year he won the Cy Young in San Diego. Now, when I say I caught him, I didn't get to catch him early in the year, because no damn rookie was going to catch him. So I didn't get to catch him. I did all the side work and everything, trying to build up a trust with him. And finally, he did trust me, because I could get his signs. The other catchers couldn't. Gaylord, 2 and 7 were fastballs. 1 was a curveball. 3 was a cutter. 4 was what he called a puffball. 5 was
which came out of rosin. And
rosin came flying out. He called it a puffball. I knew what was coming. It was easy. But the thing is, if say I dropped down a 2, that's a fastball. He'd go 3, 4, add, subtract 1, back to 3. Okay, what's a 3? Oh, that's a cutter. Well, you better know the signs, and because he'd go bang, bang, bang and start pitching. And in San Diego, the year he won the Cy Young, he was tough to catch. His stuff was dynamic. When I caught him in Seattle in 82,
where he won his 300th game,
where he won his 300th, his stuff was not as dynamic. You didn't need to know what was coming as much. You could pretty much catch it all, but he still got people out.
Yeah. In his heyday, I'm fascinated by him, because I got to know him a little bit every year. It was friendlier, and
he's a personality.
Oh my God. And he would come in saying, man, I got one for you today. He'd think through some story at the end he was going to give me, either about Earl Weaver or Billy Martin. But there was a trust factor, it seemed to me, that you had to build in him Everybody, there was sort of a test.
Well, I remember my first year in the big leagues was 78. I went to spring training. There was a young shortstop that came from the Northwest League short season named Ozzie Smith. And all these pitchers, I remember hearing, I listened. We weren't allowed to talk, but I listened. They say, no, young punk's going to play shortstop behind me. We got a veteran guy to play shortstop. This guy's not going to play shortstop. Well, we went through spring training. By the end of spring training, they all had changed their minds. All of a sudden, they liked Ozzie Smith, this young guy. He's pretty good. Yeah, we might let him play. And that's the way it worked back then.
Leave me with this. And by the way, the next time we come up here, next time we do this, just reserve like an hour.
Okay.
Because we're gonna solve all the world's problems. What hitter did he get in that hitter's head worse than any other that you saw?
It's actually when you start to say that, I thought that's going to be it, but it's easy. Pete Rose.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. We played a game in Cincinnati, and Gaylord would go out and sit on a bench 30, 40 minutes before the game. He always had his jacket on. It could be 110 degrees, had his jacket on, had his 4 baseballs. He had a routine that he went through. Well, I was sitting out there with him. I was catching that day, and I'm sitting out there with him, waiting, for him to say, okay, let's go. And all of a sudden, he pulls out a little tube of Vaseline and starts putting it all over a baseball. And he called, hey, bat boy, come here. Kid came over and he goes, put your hands out. Kid put his hands out. He set that ball in his hands. He said, go give this to Mr. Rose over there, because he could see Pete over there. Pete went crazy. Absolutely.
Didn't really.
Oh, he was not happy, because here we go, getting in their head. And it was very interesting to watch how that worked. And that's Big Red Machine days. That's when all of them were over there. And I'm
best team of my lifetime.
I'm just sitting there, just smiling, just thinking, man, this guy is something else. And so I would say he did a pretty good job getting in Pete's head right there.
For on air, we're about to end this, but off air, you got to wait with me for 1 minute. I got a good Pete Rose story for you, but I don't think it can be told on air.
Probably not. Well, like I say, back before phones.
Let's first of all, thank you for doing this.
Always a pleasure.
Rick Sweet is the manager of the Nashville Sounds, and he is a blast to talk baseball with. After the break, we'll get into all of the NFL draft stuff. But first, the question is, are you betting on the NBA playoffs? Well, NHL goes in that too. Today at Action 24/7, use the promo code George. It is scary. They've given me a promo code. Get a 300% deposit match up to $20 on your first deposit. Action 24/7 is Tennessee's only locally owned and operated sports book. That's right. If you've got questions, these are good folks. They'll help you. They're your neighbors. They live in Tennessee. They want business from Tennesseans. So download the app or visit action247.com to start all that winning. Now, the last sentence says, and please bet responsibly. I've changed it in the last 3 days. And please bet on the road team if you're going NHL. We're back after this. Year number 2 of the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night was awesome. And the reason is really simple. I chose Strike and Spare, and they were amazing. They have great food, great bowling, and a staff that is truly ready to go the extra mile to help you. They have 5 family fun centers in the area to choose from, and for more info, go to strikeandspare.com or call them at 615-824-5685.
How am I going to get to work? My car's totaled.
Skylar, our team is making a call right now. We'll get you a rental car. Don't worry.
That's a relief.
Call us 24/7. We're here. We're going to help.
Now that the weather has gotten considerably warmer, there's not a better place to spend a morning or an afternoon and Riverside Golf Links. So you've probably noticed the weather has gotten a lot warmer, and that means a couple of things in Nashville. It means baseball, and it really means golf. And for me, it's a visit to Riverside Golf Links. The course has improved dramatically. There are now 27 holes, including a 9-hole executive course. If you want tee times or more information, dial them up at 615-847-5074.
You can't see the sights without the sounds. From the crack of the bat to the roar of the crowd and everything in between, discover what Hit City has to offer. Spend your nights cheering on the Nashville Sounds at First Horizon Park with giveaways, fireworks shows, theme weekends, and more. Single game tickets are on sale now. Visit NashvilleSounds.com to claim your seat today.
We are back at First Horizon Park. Sounds and the Omaha Royals set to do battle in about 4 hours, 6:35, the opening pitch. Let me ask both of you this before we go to the press conference. Did you think when the Titans were on the clock they would pick a quarterback?
No. When what's the Tennessee's lineman name? I'm just forgetting it right now.
Darnell Wright.
When Darnell Wright was selected, I knew the Titans were going to take Peter Skoronski. I mean, because he's a guy they liked from what I've heard, and I figured they would just take Skoronski right there. But early on, after the first and second pick, I thought maybe they trade up, but no, after Stroud was taken by Houston, I don't think so.
The need on the offensive line just served as the majority right there. Ryan said it in his press conference that we're going to hear in a few minutes. We had him as a blue star player, obviously one of the best offensive linemen on the board. It's interesting they announced him as an offensive tackle. People with Kuiper and Jeremiah have said his arms are too short to play left tackle, that he's probably going to be an all-pro guard if you kick him inside. But, Vrabel said that we're going to push him in all those spots and figure out what the best unit is up front. But I thought the need was offensive line. That's what I felt like they could do. The trade back didn't make sense because Pittsburgh was looking to trade up and get an offensive lineman. They did. The Jets were looking for an offensive lineman as well. So it didn't make sense for the Titans to trade back and miss out on that opportunity to get that first-round grade of talent on the offensive line.
So let me ask both of you this. There is a chance that one of the two quarterbacks that we've been yapping about, Hendon Hooker and or Will Levis, might be there when they pick early tonight in the second round. Now, as I've said before, by the way, great shot of the stadium, bad shot of me. To me, what we're learning is they've got so dadgum many holes.
Yeah.
They absolutely cannot fix them all in year one. If one of those two quarterbacks is available, do you think they're taking them?
If it's Hendon Hooker, I think they are really considering taking Hooker. But then again, I don't know. Part of me doesn't think that would really benefit them in any way. Right? You said immediately help them. I don't think anything will immediately help them in this draft, really. There are so many holes in this team. I think they're in a spot where they're taking the best available player at every pick. I mean, I don't see them taking Levis, but I think I could see them taking Hooker potentially.
They only have 5 picks remaining in this year's draft. I think they're in a trade back opportunity because this is where you get your blue chip players in the second and third round. They need to add some more picks in that range. They're missing a 4th rounder because of the Julio Jones incident. I think it's a trade back opportunity. I think Hooker could come off the board with the Rams coming up early in that second round. Vegas is a team to watch as well. They have Garoppolo, but no long-term answer quarterback. But I think this is that wide receiver area. You got Hyatt on the board, Mingo, Tillman in that area. Or you can tight end. Michael Mayer's still out there on the board. And
yeah, which is a surprise. I thought Dallas would take him.
First-round grade of a player. So you can pair him up with a Okonkwo. That's a pretty lethal tight end combo right there.
Okay, so we're going to listen in. Billy, help me. How long are we going to listen?
About 10 minutes or so.
Okay, and so this is Rand, Carthon, and Vrabel?
Yep.
Okay, let's listen in from Baptist Sports Park at what went on late last night when the Brain Trust got together. I know I'm stalling here for just a second. That's the left field foul pole back there. On the other shoulder is the right field foul pole. So I'll stall just a tad bit longer while they get this put up, and I think we're close to ready. So, wow, they're both in coat and tie. You know it's special. So Rand Carthon on the left, Mike Vrabel on the right. They both look happy. Here we go.
I guess I'll start it off. We all know why we're here. We just selected Peter Skoronski with the 11th overall pick. Peter checks all the boxes for us, and what we're looking for in our offensive line and what we're looking for to bring in our program. He was a guy that, truth be told, we targeted from the very beginning. Didn't know that if he was going to be there or not, so we had other contingency plans just in case, and we got lucky and he was there, and so it made the pick real easy for us to pull off at 11. So, Mike, nothing.
Well, I would just say I want to thank Rand, his staff, our coaches, for putting a lot of work in, not only on Peter but this entire draft. So far, an amazing process. Exactly, where we were yesterday in some of the scenarios. Our communication, I have absolutely enjoyed it thus far. We're getting a fantastic player, a physical player, a violent player. He's got versatility, and those are things that we covet. And with the durability, I know when he grabs people, most of the time they stop moving. So that's really a good thing for an offensive lineman. Teresa?
Mike, that's the thing. It may not be a sexy pick going for offensive linemen, but 49 sacks allowed last year. How important is it to protect the quarterback?
We've said since the end of the season, during the season, multiple times, numerous times, we have to do a better job protecting our quarterback. And, we've set out to do that, not only by improvement, but in the offseason and some of the free agent acquisitions, but also tonight. And you have to be able to do that. And this isn't just a pass protector. This is an all-around, very, very good football player, a very good offensive lineman.
Did you guys talk to Arizona, anybody else about moving up? Was a quarterback in play?
If you guys remember when we spoke, I guess it was Monday, and I told you guys about everybody being nosy. That included me. So, you have to know all the scenarios above you, below you. So we called everybody, whether it was teams above us, teams below us, just exploring to see where we were going to be. And it's funny, Mike and I, we were just talking about it downstairs. How they came off is about how we predicted and where we thought was going to be there for us at 11 to choose from. We did think Peter was going to go a little higher than expected, but we would have loved for him to fall to us, and he did.
Really just going to play him at offensive line to start and see where we go and see where we feel like he can best help the football team, where he can best help himself. We haven't targeted him anywhere. Really, when we've set out to talk about this offseason, we've wanted to identify speed, violence, and versatility, and he checks those boxes. And we'll kind of let that materialize as we work through the offseason and a training camp. And that's when the offensive line is going to come together. We've talked about that as in training camp.
You figure, Mike, in the end, between Dillard and Skoronski, one's at left tackle, one's at left guard?
Well, we hope that they both are going to be able to contribute. I mean, obviously, that's why we made the acquisition we did in the offseason, and that's why we made the pick that we made tonight. We've played against teams that have really good lines of scrimmage, and I'm glad that Rand feels the same way that we do. Is that line of scrimmage is critical in this league, and you see what some of those guys have to block across from them, and Peter and hopefully the rest of these guys as they come in here and develop and gel are going to be able to do that for us.
Rand, you mentioned value at different positions, how later you can get guys who have similar value. If you taking Skoronski at 11, what is it that separates him from the other tackles or guards?
Well, I think the thing about Peter and what Mike was saying is his versatility. And when he grabs people, for the most part, they stop. When he gets his hands on guys. So, whatever his length is his length, but he played at a high productive level, using that same length to stop people. And again, it's another way for us to add not only a good football player, but a good person. He's a consummate pro, even in college, the way he carried himself. And, that was he just made it a comfortable and easy pick for us to pull off the board. Yeah, because that was the pre-draft notion from, everybody. Can he play tackle? And it wasn't because he wasn't successful playing tackle in college. It was because of the quote unquote desired arm length. So we know at the end of the day, we got a good football player that is going to be productive wherever he plays.
What was that like when 11 came on the clock here?
Nothing. Communicating with my partner. We talked throughout. We were doing a countdown. Hey, we're 3 out. We're 2 out. We're 1 out. Here's this scenario. Here's that scenario. It helped having his leadership and his veteran knowledge of how to work a draft. So it made it easy. And like we talked about the other day, us being, locked in that room together, going through that board, working through discrepancies that we may have had, whether it was our scouts, whether it was our coaches, or whether it was ourselves, put everything into vision for us. So when that pick came, we knew immediately. We didn't have to have much conversation, just a quick, hey, we're good. And we were good. And so it made it easy. Everybody's been asking me how I feel, am I excited and all those things. I've been telling everybody the same thing. I think about, you score your first touchdown and you dance and you celebrate, and most coaches will pull you to the side and say, act like you've been there before. So I approach today as if I've been there before.
I told Rand, you never forget your first, though. So we laughed about that. And just to echo that, it was easy. There was a comfort to it, having worked through those scenarios up and down. And so like he said, it kind of happened, and here we were. And, I was hoping it kind of came to us and it was easy. So that was probably the best part of this entire process, is having, spent those last couple hours yesterday, just him and I, putting everybody's thoughts together and everybody's vision together for these players.
How has Peter worked through the short arms and overcome that? What's a guy with shorter arms do?
Great footwork, he's square, plays square. He's strong. You can watch some of these clips, and these are 280-pound guys, 270-pound guys, rushing on the edge or blocking down on a 3 technique, and he gets his hands on you. They for the most part, they don't go very far, and I think he uses his mind. I mean, he's intelligent. There's a lot of things you can do to make up for not having 35-inch arms, which very few tackles have. And so it's angles, it's strength, it's body control, it's playing square, and being able to move his feet.
Rand, you talked the other day about the value of getting face-to-face time with these prospects. What did you learn about Peter when you got with him in the pre-draft, and just kind of how did that inform the pick?
So we met with Peter at the combine, felt really good about him. And then our O-line coach Haas, went to the pro day and spent time with him. Again, the player and the person, checked all the boxes for us. So we felt like who he was and what he brings here was easy.
Okay, there's a little bit of what got heard last night. There is some new news that has just come out of the ESPN front. David, what do you got on that?
Yeah, George. So obviously last night we just came to the conclusion that it wasn't a good idea for the Titans to take a quarterback in round 1 with all the needs that they had on the offensive line and on the defense and the wide receiver front. But Jeremy Fowler of ESPN is reporting that the Titans were among 4 teams that looked to trade back into the bottom half of the first round, particularly with Pittsburgh at 31, to try to take a quarterback, and that will be Will Levis. Those 4 teams were the Patriots, Rams, Titans, and Falcons. Now, George, we got to consider that 2 of those teams pick ahead of the Titans here in round 2. Los Angeles picking at 36, and the Raiders picking at 38.
Okay, give me the teams again.
The Rams.
Okay, the Rams would be more just because of Matthew Stafford's age than anything. No, we don't like your performance, just more age. Keep going.
The Raiders.
The Raiders, that's not much of a vote of confidence at Jared Stidham, who played pretty well as the starter the last 2 games of the year, and right now would be Garoppolo's backup.
Yeah, and I think it's more on Garoppolo's health long term. He hasn't shown the ability to stay healthy over a long period of time. Then you got the Falcons, who are picking behind the Titans and just drafted a running back in the first round.
Yeah, and a really good one at that. Bijan Robinson's going to be a stud.
And then the last one is Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots, who reportedly really love Will Levis.
Yeah, well, go back on the other one first. Atlanta, that says to me they're not in love with Desmond Ridder, or they don't feel like they've got enough info on Ridder yet to really know what to make of him.
Yeah.
Interesting.
That's interesting. No Hooker for the Titans, more Levis. Now, Levis did come to Nashville and meet with the Titans brass a week or so, or 2 weeks before the NFL draft. But that's interesting. You kind of came to the conclusion that you didn't like Levis over the Hooker option.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, look, I think a lot of what is hurting Will Levis right now is this whole, what I'm going to call Billy Badass, that he sort of copped on everybody. I'm the strongest arm in the, on the planet. I don't think that went over real well.
Did you guys hear where he was the one that made up the rumor that he was going number 1 overall? It got released on Reddit, and he apparently was the one that said he's going number 1 overall.
Well, I'll release this. I'm not.
ESPN has reported that he's decided not to attend day 2 of the draft.
I don't blame him.
That was a hard look last night with constant peeking into the green room to see him back there. So
I can't blame him on that. Kelly Holcomb's going to join us after the break. We'll get his opinion on where all this is right now on day 2. Does it start at 6 or at 7 tonight?
I want to say 6.
That's what I thought.
Because there's 2 rounds.
Yeah.
But I'll check on that.
Either way, we'll go to the break from First Horizon Park. Stay tuned. Kelly Holcomb coming up next.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
Hockey in Music City just hits different. It's one big honky-tonk party. It's the sea of gold in the crowd, the goals, the saves, the celebrations. It's an experience like no other. Experience Predators hockey all season long. Visit NashvillePredators.com/season tickets and join the Loyal Legion today. That's NashvillePredators.com/tickets, and we'll see you at Bridgestone Arena.
For over 35 years, Wilson Bank & Trust has been committed to providing customized banking solutions to help individuals, families, and businesses in Tennessee achieve their goals. As your full-service community bank, we are proud to offer loans with competitive rates, local decision-making, and fast, friendly service from our experienced lenders. No matter where you are on your financial journey, Wilson Bank & Trust is ready to help you take the next step. Visit your nearest Wilson Bank & Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Family owned and operated for more than 2 decades, Alaco Fine Wood Floors is Nashville and Middle Tennessee's choice for premium quality hardwood floors. Since 1995, Jimmy Alaco and his army of employees have embodied the approach of taking pride in one's craft and providing superior customer service, growing from a one-man shop to a team of 23 professionals who share the founder's passion for quality craftsmanship and customer satisfaction. If you are interested in contacting them, you can find their headquarters at 2505 Winford Avenue in Berry Hill, or give them a call at 615-356-0303. Again, that's 615-356-0303, or log on to alacofinewoodfloors.com. Alaco Fine Wood Floors, serving Middle Tennessee's hardwood flooring needs since 1995.
At Baird, we have a different slant on global financial advice. That global capabilities mean nothing without personal attention. We have investor relationships in 35 countries and market expertise in over 40 industry verticals, all to help make the most important investment connections of all, yours. Global financial advice with a client-first approach. It's the shape of things to come. Discover the Baird difference at BairdDifference.com.
I can't hear. Can't hear you.
In the second round. And let's see, I think we've made some level of communication with Kelly.
Got it.
Kelly,
I'm here.
Okay, you can hear me now. Why did you think they were picking Levis?
Man, I don't know. I just that was kind of I'm just wondering, George, like with all the deceitfulness that's going on in the National Football League when it comes to the draft, do you think Will Levis was used as a pawn a little bit? I mean,
he was massive trade bait.
Yeah, I just like it was. I heard y'all just talking about it. It was very uncomfortable. I felt sorry for the kid last night. I really did. That's the problem that we talked about the other day when you go to the draft and you may not get drafted. I mean, that's what happened to Aaron Rodgers. Brett Favre dropped to the second round, I think. That was really uncomfortable. I kind of felt for the kid last night, but I don't know. I just. You know what? Everything is speculation up until the draft, and you really don't know. And obviously, the Houston Texans liked either Bryce Young or C.J. Stroud. They didn't care, so they were going. And maybe they're the ones that put those false flags out there, saying, "Hey, if we're not going to get Bryce, we're going to do something else." But when I was, I texted you last night, but when I was thinking about it, and after I got off air yesterday with my throat problems that I'm still having a little bit. I thought about what David talked about, and you know what? That came to fruition because that
sure did.
You've got to give the Houston Texans credit because they had leveraged all those drafts the last couple of years, and they got a bunch of draft picks. They probably gave up a little bit too much, but they got the two guys that they wanted. So you've got to give it to them. They had a really good draft. I mean, they had the the 2 picks in the top 3. So that was pretty impressive.
So, Kelly, do you think the fact that Levis is still available, is this the team saying there's something talent-wise we don't like, or there's an attitude we don't like?
I don't know. It could be a little bit of both, George. You know, I don't know. You come off a little bit arrogant, which you got to be a quarterback. You have to be cocky. You have to have a little bit of confidence. If you don't have confidence in yourself, nobody else is going to have it in you. So that could be the case. I mean, he was, you know, as he's alluded to, he's got a great arm. He's a talented guy. He's a big dude, as you can see. He looks like a linebacker. I don't know if he looks like a quarterback, but he looks like a linebacker. You don't see many guys like that. Like, I mean, you look at Joe Montana and Tom Brady and Peyton and all of us guys that played. I mean, I didn't look like this dude here. I mean, you know, Tim looks like that right now, you know, and he looked a little bit like that. But there's not many guys that look that way. But he was really inconsistent at times when he played. Yeah. And I think that was kind of a red flag for people. I really do. I think the cockiness, you've got to be a little bit arrogant, but you got to handle that the right way. And I think the inconsistency in his play.
So it looks to me like all these teams have graded Levis above Hendon Hooker. Do you believe that?
Yeah, I think that because I think that's what – but it wouldn't surprise me if he goes before him. It wouldn't surprise me at all. I mean, the guy – Hendon Hooker's, you know, we've alluded to a bunch over the last couple of weeks. That guy's played a lot of football. He's 26 years old, obviously. You know, he's coming off an injury, but he's played a lot of football and he's had a lot of experience. There's a lot of game tape on him. That's the thing that I just don't understand about the Anthony Richardson kid. I mean, it's all about potential. I understand that, but yeah, I think Will Levis is probably ahead of Hendon Hooker, but I wouldn't be surprised. It's just what a team thinks, what a team needs, what they want, character-wise, who they think fits better, you know, to their scheme. So it wouldn't surprise me if Hendon Hooker goes before him, but I don't think that'll happen.
So am I right tonight? It's rounds 2 and 3. That's what goes on tonight?
Yes.
2 and 3. So, Kelly, I guess they've got some decisions to make of, number one, where they are. Will a quarterback be available? Do they even care if one is available? What does this mean for Malik Willis? And if it were up to you, what positions would you be trying to draft tonight?
I see. I don't know quarterback wise what they're thinking. I mean, they drafted Malik Willis last year. So if you draft somebody else, you've obviously given up on him. So that's the kind of thing that, you know, I'm just not sure of when it comes to that organization. I think they got to get some guys in the secondary that can run, you know, and they've talked some things about Kevin Byard about maybe moving him with his contract or whatever. And he's not backing down. You know, Kevin's one of the better safeties in the league. You know, I just think that what they did with the Skoronski kid, I like him. I mean, he seems like a Mike Vrabel kind of guy. He didn't even go to the draft, which that's a further notice to me that he's kind of a no-nonsense guy. He doesn't really care about all that stuff. He just wants to play ball. And I really think that he can play left tackle, left guard, right guard. You could probably put him at center. He's probably played center in high school. So you've got a very versatile guy there. So I think they've done a really good job with free agency and shoring up their offense. I still think they got to get a receiver. They've got to get some guys that can push the ball down the field. Now, a couple of guys came off the board last night. I don't think, then Jigba kid ran a 4.5. But they got some guys that can run. Zay Flowers obviously went to the Ravens, and then Jordan Addison. He could run. So they've got to be able to take, somebody to take the top off the defense, in my opinion. But with Mike Vrabel being a defensive-minded guy, I think they've got to be able to stop people, and especially in the passing game, because they've been really atrocious the last couple of years.
Yeah, they have been that. First of all, Kelly, let's be honest. They've got so many needs. They're not going to fix them all this year. This thing is a dumpster fire. What it looked like at the end of the year. Do you think there's a scenario where in round 2 they have to look at themselves and say Hendon Hooker, Jalen Hyatt?
They could. They really could. Because if it's me, I'm taking Jalen Hyatt. I like Hendon Hooker a lot, but their need right now is speed on the outside on the offensive side of the ball. And he's that guy, just watching the deal on him the other day. He was talking to a coach and he's like, what do you have that makes you different? And he was like, you have speed, you can run. And if it's me and I was in that room with Mike Vrabel and Vrabel Carthon, I would be picking Jalen Hyatt because he suits our needs right now. Hendon Hooker's probably going to be a deal where he's not going to come in and start right now. Jalen Hyatt could come in and start right off day one. He could help you with getting the top off the defense and helping you in the pass game.
So if I'm hearing this right, a combination tonight of defensive back who can really run, wide receiver who can really run.
Absolutely. I mean, don't you think, George, like the last couple of years I've been – it's kind of amazing, and I say this over and over again. If Ryan Tannehill doesn't get hurt, they're going to the playoffs again last year, but still, I mean, they've got so many areas that they need to upgrade, and, they're doing quite a bit. He's doing quite a bit with not much, and that's, you have to do that stuff in the draft. You have to do that stuff in the free agency with getting guys, but they just, to me, just watching them on a Sunday afternoon, they got guys that can't run. They can run for an average person, but for the NFL, in order to win, you got to have guys that can pick it up and put it down. And right now, that seems where they're lacking to me.
Let me ask you this to end this, and I really appreciate, because you're kind of playing hurt, and I know it. Once the draft is over, the free agents that are available, is this an important free agent time for the Titans that they've got to find a couple in there who can actually help?
Yeah, but can you find free agents?
I don't know. I'm asking you that because you know it better than I do.
Well, I just think that it's hard right now to, this is kind of the last deal. Free agency's already started, and the ones, there's some older guys out there that are still lingering out there and still holding on. And maybe you go get an older guy, but the free agents that everybody wanted are already gone. So you might find somebody out there, but is it going to fill a huge need? I just don't think that that's the case at this point in the season. You start free agency, you dine and you take them guys out and you try to get them to come to your place. Then it's on once you start free agency and you start getting some free agents, then all your attention goes to the draft. And then the draft is kind of the final deal. And then if you don't fill your needs with the draft, I mean, you can look on the street, but there's not much meat on the bone out there, George.
Yeah,
really
no,
not.
I know there isn't, but they've got so many needs. They're not going to fix them all.
Well, no, and that's kind of if you're a fan, you look at it and you think to yourself, well, these guys are on here talking, but that's absolutely right. So what kind of year are we going to have? That's hard for a fan. Do we really have a shot to win the championship in our league and go to the playoffs? Do we really have that shot? That's kind of demoralizing to a fan, but that's guys that have been around it. You've been around it in broadcasting.
Sure.
When you look at it from the outside in, that's absolutely right. I mean, you're going to win some games, but how many games are you going to win? There's a lot of holes to be filled, and maybe you can pull some guys together that you didn't think were going, some free agent rookies or guys that you didn't think much of, and maybe they can help you. I don't know, but it's just it's a tough situation to be in when you have so many holes to fill.
Call me crazy, but say Ryan Tannehill stays healthy, Derrick Henry stays healthy, the Titans' O-line improves, Traylon Burks starts to play well, Chigo Okonkwo gets activated. The Titans can win that division.
Only because the division sucks.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, let's be honest. This is not a team that should be in postseason play as it is configured at this moment.
But isn't that part of it with your division? You have to look at that and say, with our division, we can win this.
That's right.
Yeah, but is it more important
Yeah.
for this win the division because it sucks as opposed to looking down the road where this could get a lot more interesting?
That's your division, though. It does, you look at Tampa Bay and what they did in the NFC South last year. That division sucked. They went to the playoffs at 7-9, but nobody's caring because they went to the playoffs. So if you get to the playoffs, you get a chance. So y'all are absolutely right. Obviously Jacksonville's coming up, but the Colts and the Texans both have new coaches, new coaching staffs. Now they've got new quarterbacks. How are these guys going to pan out? You've got a guy in Ryan Tannehill who's been there. He's won a lot of games, and you've got the up and coming Trevor Lawrence. So, the division is not very good, but you can't do anything about that. You just got to win the games on your schedule. And then those important games are the division games.
I need a really quick answer. If Stetson Bennett is not drafted, should the Titans be all over him to bring him in as a free agent?
Yes. If you got one word answer, yes. I don't really.
Yeah, that
I don't
didn't
know
seem
if they should
overly
be
convincing.
all over him. I don't know if that's going to happen with anybody, but yeah. I mean, the guy wins games. Like why don't you bring him in and give him a shot, give him a chance? I mean, because he's done it on the highest level, and everybody says, well, he's got all these athletes. Well, you still got to make the throws, you still got to make the plays, and you still got to make that last drive against Ohio State to get you into the national championship game.
Okay. Rest your voice. Go to the doctor. Don't let him do any medical tests because he may find out some things you don't want to know.
That's true. Appreciate it, guys.
Hey, have a good weekend, Kelly.
See y'all.
Okay, that Kelly Holcomb joining us from Murfreesboro. After the break, we'll probably bomb on Stat of the Day. And then Watson Brown weighs in on what he's been seeing. Stay with us.
Forget the fact that Sir Speedy Music City is owned by my BGA classmate James Warren. Their work stands on its own merit. James and his staff do incredible work, as evidenced by the huge banners at the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. If you're looking for quality to help your marketing and business communications, and you want it at a reasonable price, these are your folks. Call them at 615-832-9511 or go to print at sirspeedymusiccity.com. And be sure to tell them Plaz sent you.
Hey, thank you for meeting with me today. The insurance company has made an offer.
Already? Wow.
They've offered you the entire policy.
Thank you, Blair.
You're so welcome.
This is my buddy and former Nashville Sounds PA announcer Eric Berner. I always laughed in the old days at Greer Stadium when I would walk in, Eric would immediately play my favorite song, Van Halen's Jump. But then I learned he actually has a real job with Rockcastle Wealth Advisors.
Yeah, George, that's what I do. I help people in the pursuit of making their money live as long as they do. Everybody's situation is different, so I use a customized and individualized, personalized approach to the person I'm working with. Old 401ks, retirement planning, insurance planning, inheritance planning. Those are things that people like to get some more information about.
One of the things I find is people don't even know where to start, and that's where you come in.
Yeah, so I can usually help people with an initial phone call or meeting that is a no charge and no obligation.
And I'll bet you have a phone number and a website.
I do, George. They can call me at 615-235-1058 or rockcastlewealth.com or Eric at rockcastlewealth.com.
Hello, this is Celeste Middleton, a State Farm agent in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. I want to help my neighbors and local businesses be proactive and assess their risk before something unexpected happens. We want you to have a thorough understanding of your coverages to have the best protection when you need it. We can create a personal price plan for you. Our team has over 70 years of experience helping people in Middle Tennessee. We have an awesome team with integrity and provide honest and prompt communication, and we love what we do and genuinely care about everyone we work with at our office. Give us a call at 615-895-2700. Send us a message at celestemiddleton.com or walk in at our office at 803 North Thompson Lane in Murfreesboro. We would love to earn your business.
Welcome to John English Antique Sports and Cards, located at 204 East Depot Street in beautiful downtown Shelbyville, Tennessee. Their phone number is area code 931-492-4304. John, obviously, I've been blown away by what I've seen at your place. I've now been there 3 times. But for the person who's never been, what should they expect?
Well, we have a 3,000 square foot store, George. Half of it is vintage cards in all sports. And then half of the store is, a lot of people call it the museum, where there's a lot of early equipment and just the history of sports in general. Baseball, football, basketball, golf, tennis, and other items.
When somebody comes in there that you know is a big sports fan, what is their normal reaction?
Well, I think that they're pleasantly surprised. And, of course, being in Shelbyville, Tennessee, which is a small town that you would never expect a shop like we have to be in. So they're kind of, I don't want to say blown away, but as I said, pleasantly surprised.
Welcome back in. It is time for Stat of the Day, Kelly Holcomb's favorite segment of the show, although Kelly will be no help to George today. But his good friend Watson Brown is in the on-deck circle and ready to go. Saturday is brought to you by English Antique Sports and Cards. They're in Shelbyville. Give them a call at 931-492-4304. Once again, that's 931-492-4304. They're also located on 204 East Depot Street. They are open Tuesday through Friday, noon to 5, and on Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Let's see what we got for Saturday here today on a Friday. 3 quarterbacks were selected in the first round of last night's NFL draft. Can you name the NFL franchise who has selected the most quarterbacks in the first round of the draft since the common draft era? Watson's here.
What does that mean, common draft era?
I think it's since 1960 something.
Yeah.
1967, I think.
Getting AFL,
Since the
NFL.
split. Yep.
Yeah. Hey, Watson, how you doing?
George, I'm good. How are you?
Good.
I mean, have you run Kelly off, or what's the deal?
Oh, he's got voice issues, and if anybody should be, sensitive to that, it ought to be me. Little past history with that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's not good, George. No. That's not good in our business, is it, to have a voice issue?
No. So it sounds like we're stalling around. You've heard the question. What's the first?
Yeah,
what's the first thing? Yeah. What's the first thing? Because I'll tell you what the first one was with me. And don't y'all gong us, because we're not giving answers yet. Cleveland Browns have drafted a bunch of quarterbacks. Tim Couch, Baker Mayfield, probably Otto Graham. That's a little.
Otto Graham was a little before the common draft.
Yeah. But it wouldn't surprise me if it's Cleveland. Anybody cross your mind?
No, that's not really hard because there's no hints. It could be anybody. That could be any team because there's been a lot of mistakes made through the years with quarterbacks. So I can't come up with one.
Let's see if we can get a hint.
Give us some hint.
AFC South.
AFC South. Well, that's certainly. I would assume.
Lord, it may be the Titans.
It might be, but it might be the Colts.
One of the two.
Yeah. Watson, let's think about that for a minute. Peyton Manning was a first-round pick. Andrew Luck was a first-round pick.
Yeah.
Before that,
John Elway.
Yeah, he was drafted. Now, wait a minute. Yeah, he was
Which
drafted.
one was?
He was
Peyton
drafted.
was one of the Mannings. Didn't go where they were drafted, right?
It was Eli who did not go to San Diego, but John Elway was drafted by the Baltimore Colts.
Yeah.
So are we including?
It may be the Colts.
What the heck? Let's go with the Colts.
It is the Indianapolis Colts, including Anthony Richardson from last night.
Wow.
There you go.
Well, you know what? When you give us
that
a
was
one,
a good figure out there we had.
Yeah, when you give us a 1 in 4 chance, and one of them's Jacksonville, which hadn't been around long, we had to at least get an honorable mention.
Watson liked the Titans originally, but went up with the Colts.
No, after you started, once you said John Elway, I said, it's the Colts.
Yeah.
That's a good one. I'd forgotten that. I knew one of the Mannings did. I knew one of the Mannings was drafted somewhere and then got traded quickly.
It was Eli to the Giants.
I don't remember.
Yeah, it was Eli
Giants from where?
From
San
Diego. And I don't know what the rub was, but Watson, let's give me some thoughts on last night. What's the first thing that sticks out to you about last night?
Well, the first thing that sticks out to me is the quarterbacks went the way I thought they would go. Exactly, with Levis still not drafted, I thought he'd be a late 1 or a 2, early 2, and that's what I think he's going to be. And I still think Hendon Hooker was late 1, somewhere in the 2s. He won't go past the second round. So, but that went exactly like I thought. I thought the surprise was the 2 running backs drafted early. And that's been discussed a lot. But you study those 2 running backs, George, they're receivers as much as they are running backs. They're going to be inside slot receivers as much as they're lined up in the backfield. It's what I've always loved. I've always wanted on my teams, a guy that could line up and run the ball in the backfield, but could be put out in space and be a mismatch on heavy safeties or linebackers. And that's exactly what I think these 2 guys are. I think that's why they went where they went, because we all watched Barkley go do that some with the Giants this year. Both of these 2 guys, that's exactly what they can do. They're not just running backs. So I think that's why they went in the first round.
Watson, were you surprised? Were you surprised at all, Watson, about Richardson going as early as he did by the Colts?
Nope, I had him 3. If you all remember back, I had him 3, Levis or Hendon Hooker is 4. And I had him 3. He has got everything to me. The first 2 that went performed. The next one that went, ability. But I think his problems are fixable, Billy. I think he has a upper body problem with his shoulders are off balance. His elbow is in when he throws, which makes the ball, put your hand under the ball, which makes the ball take off. All those type of things are very correctable. If they use him right, he'll start this first year, in my opinion. He won't be ready to do the drop back game, but if they fix him fundamentally, he'll end up being a good drop back player. I thought that was the right place to pick him, and I think he's going to be a good player. A good player early, if used right, a great player 4 or 5 years from now.
Watson, there's no doubt that last night had to be a very difficult experience for Will Levis. In the short term, that's an awkward, tough thing to have the cameras keep showing you. And, what kind of look are you supposed to show? Are you, I'm happy. I'm thrilled that nobody wants me. But long term, is it possible that this humbling experience might actually be good for him?
We've seen guys this happen to that turn into great players. I think Brett Favre was one of those. I know Aaron Rodgers was. I vividly, George, can remember the look in Aaron Rodgers' eyes when all this was going down, when he was being drafted out of Cal. The exact same look. I mean, just a little bit shocked. I don't know if I'm mom and dad that I let him go last night. I mean, we'd heard he was early. We'd heard, he's going to go later. He was all over the place, and that would scare me. I just don't know that I would have wanted to be there. Man, I think that is the hardest thing to do, to sit there, especially at that position, playing quarterback, and you're sitting there and you watch one more go by and watch one more go by. And I even read his list once. He said, "Ooh, I thought that might be the one." And, it's tough. I think he's going to be a good player. I hope that the year he had was because of injury. I do think a lot of that could be it. And I just hope he ends up being a really good player, because that was really hard last night.
Watson, I know I've believed for a good while that the Titans cannot fix all that ails them in this offseason. They have got so many holes. But for you, and I asked Kelly this, and I'll be curious if your answer is the same as his. Tonight, second and third round, what positions do you want them to pick?
If one of the quarterbacks is there, I've got to go with that. I can't pass it up, because I think they're both good players. But they've got to go receiver first. Their first pick to me was a good pick, but it wasn't a sexy pick.
Right.
It wasn't whatever. That's the tough part about it nowadays world. It's like recruiting. When you got to where you start recruiting to be in the top 25 instead of recruiting what's best for you. And they took what was best for them. In my opinion, they had to fix this offensive line, but it wasn't a sexy pick. And they let 3 or 4 good receivers go, but there are still quite a few good receivers on the board, in my opinion. So I think they're all right. I think I've got to go receiver, unless at 31 one of those quarterbacks is left in the third. What is it? Where's the pick? I'm sorry. Exactly. Do you know?
41st.
In the second round.
Yes, sir.
So Watson, my belief would be that one of the two may well be available when they pick in round 2. And I think I'm hearing you say you got to take the quarterback, and then in round 3, you got to take a receiver.
Yeah. I would even maybe try to move up into round 2 to still get a really good receiver somehow. I don't know if they can. But I can't pass on one of those 2 quarterbacks. I think they're both winners. I think they both can be the next guy. And I just can't pass on it, guys. I can't do it. I've got a 35-year-old quarterback that's in the last year of his contract. I just don't think you wait till next year. And, man, the money you might have to spend in free agency, George, holy cow. Or then to get one in the draft. And where are you going to be in the draft? Again, we haven't drafted very high lately. That was the highest draft pick we've had in a while.
Yeah.
At 11. And I don't see them getting back up there again. I think that they're still going to be a solid team in the division and be right there, playoffs or not. And just because that defense is so good. And Derrick Henry is still Derrick Henry, I think.
Watson,
so I can't pass on the quarterback. I don't know what Kelly said, but I just can't do it.
Watson, we broke some news earlier that ESPN reported with Jeremy Fowler that 4 teams were trying to trade back into the first round and go get a quarterback, and that quarterback was Will Levis. And the Titans were one of those 4 teams. 2 of the teams on the list are picking ahead of the Titans in the second round. The Rams at 36 and the Raiders at 38. If you're the Titans, would you jump those teams and trade above them in the second round and surrender future draft picks for Will Levis?
If I thought Will Levis was going to be gone and I could get Hendon Hooker, no, I don't do it. If I think, but I don't think Hendon will be there by round 3. If I do anything, I go ahead and take a receiver, or I try to trade up later in the second round to see if I couldn't land Hendon Hooker. I just don't know if I'd give up a whole lot now to go get Will Levis. I don't know if I'd go that far, but if he's sitting there, I'd dang sure take him.
Watson, I tried to get Kelly to bite on this, and he didn't, so I'm going to try you.
Well, you know I will, so what the heck?
Right. Maybe I'll give you $1 if you'll agree with me. So they're not going to solve everything in this draft.
No.
What kind of quality is available Sunday night in the remaining free agents after the draft?
Oh, they need to do well with it because they're going to still have holes to fill. So they need to guess. What did the old guy say in Indiana Jones? Choose wisely. They need to choose wisely. In the latter part of the draft, George, they cannot miss because they can't fix everything in their numbers. And I think the free agency picks they make this year are probably bigger than they've been in quite a while for them.
Okay, I'll leave you.
So where did you try to lead? Where did you want me to go?
No, I don't know that I wanted you to go anywhere. I then got specific with him and said, if they don't pick a quarterback and Stetson Bennett is available, do you jump on him?
Yes, I would. I'd sign him as a free agent in a heartbeat because he hasn't let anybody down yet. Not on the field. He's had some off-field issues here, but on the field, he has done his job when a lot of people didn't think he could. I absolutely would take him as a free agent.
Okay. Golf game getting better?
Not yet, a little bit, but still the weather, man.
Yeah, I know it.
You know me, I'm not going to go out there in 50-degree weather now. That's just not
thermo.
me, but
Watson is not thermo.
I'm telling you, but it's about to turn. No, I'm a thermo golfer. Yes, I'm a thermo golfer. Anything above 55, I'll go. Anything below, ain't doing it.
We'll be there soon.
I'm right there with you. Listen, thank you for the visit. We may want to do this again Monday or Tuesday for a few minutes. So
anytime, miss you guys. Hope everybody's doing okay.
We're doing good. Listen, you take care. Tell Brenda we said hello.
I'll do it. Thanks, guys.
That's Watson Brown joining us. After the break, Terry McCormick will be with us, and we'll talk to him, get his feelings on what it is he was able to glean out of last night's press conference. Now, to the important question. Are you betting on the NBA playoffs or the NHL? Well, today at Action 24/7, use the promo code GEORGE. Get a 300% deposit match up to $20 on your first deposit. Action 24/7 is Tennessee's only locally owned and operated sports book. That's right. If you've got questions, these are good folks who can help you. They're your neighbors located right here in Tennessee. So download the app or visit action247.com to start all that winning, and I'll leave it the way it ought to be. Remember, bet the road team in the NHL because in the playoffs, the road team is killing it.
Year number 2 of the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night was awesome. And the reason is really simple. I chose Strike and Spare, and they were amazing. They have great food, great bowling, and a staff that is truly ready to go the extra mile to help you. They have 5 family fun centers in the area to choose from, and for more info, go to strikeandspare.com or call them at 615-824-5685.
How am I going to get to work? My car's totaled.
Skylar, our team is making a call right now. We'll get you a rental car. Don't worry.
That's a relief.
Call us 24/7. We're here. We're going to help.
Year number 2 of the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night was awesome. And the reason is really simple. I chose Strike and Spare, and they were amazing. They have great food, great bowling, and a staff that is truly ready to go the extra mile to help you. They have 5 family fun centers in the area to choose from, and for more info, go to strikeandspare.com or call them at 615-824-5685.
Now that the weather has gotten considerably warmer, there's not a better place to spend a morning or an afternoon than Riverside Golf Lanes.
So you've probably noticed the weather has gotten a lot warmer, and that means a couple of things in Nashville. It means baseball, and it really means golf. And for me, it's a visit to Riverside Golf Links. The course has improved dramatically. They're now 27 holes, including a 9-hole executive course. If you want tee times or more information, dial them up at 615-847-5074.
You can't see the sights without the sounds. From the crack of the bat to the roar of the crowd and everything in between, discover what Hit City has to offer. Spend your nights cheering on the Nashville Sounds at First Horizon Park with giveaways, fireworks shows, theme weekends, and more. Single game tickets are on sale now. Visit NashvilleSounds.com to claim your seat today.
Okay, I got to level with you. I've been saying that the Sounds play the Omaha Royals tonight. They were the Omaha Royals forever. Let me see if Terry McCormick knows what they are now. He joins us by phone as he gets ready for night number 2 of the draft. Terry, what is Omaha's nickname?
The Stakes.
Storm Chasers.
Storm Chasers, very nice.
This is the time of the year where they do a lot of that.
Yes.
So
the nicknames in minor league baseball are just completely out of control.
Oh, it started with what was it, New Orleans, the Baby Cakes?
Yeah, something like that. There's a team called the Jumbo Shrimp.
Yeah.
You got the rubber ducks too somewhere.
Yeah, let's go Baby Cakes. Good Lord. So, Terry, did you think going into last night that Skoronski was where they were going?
I thought it was a possibility simply for the fact that they need offensive line help. And this guy's been a solid player at Northwestern throughout his entire tenure there. He was, I think, second team All Big Ten as a freshman, which is very impressive. He has a little bit of versatility, can play tackle or guard, even can play center if need be. And I think he fits the mold of what Mike Vrabel looks for, especially in an offensive lineman. You know, I don't know if that was the absolute first choice on their board, but it certainly was in play and they pulled the trigger.
So for the purposes of trying to repair this god-awful offensive line from a year ago, are they done?
I think they still probably add a few pieces for depth, but I think their starting 5 is probably, if it's not etched in stone, but it's certainly written down in ink now. In some capacity, it's going to be Skoronski, Andre Dillard, Daniel Brunskill, Nicholas Petit-Ferrer, and Aaron Brewer. That's probably your odds-on favorites to be the starting 5 on the offensive line. They're going to likely move Brewer from left guard, where he was undersized and, quite frankly, not very good, to center, where they hope he will be better. Probably have Skoronski and Brunskill at the guards, and then Dillard and Petit-Ferrer at the tackles.
So that group that you named, do you believe they have solved their offensive line issues?
Well, they couldn't be any worse than they were at the end of last year. I think they've improved. I won't go as far as to say that they've solved it because, you know, you've got a rookie in Skoronski. You've got a guy who's moving to a different position in Brewer, and you're bringing in 2 guys in Dillard and Brunskill who were backups. Granted, backups on really good teams in the Eagles and the 49ers, but still backups nonetheless. And you're counting on those guys to mesh together and be a starting unit. So I don't know if the problem is solved. I think the problem is improved.
Terry, you know what the water cooler talk is around the city today. It's okay. Will either of these 2 quarterbacks that we've been yapping about be on the board when they pick? And if they are the Titans taking one of them? What do you think?
I think it's possible. It's not out of the question. I think, you know, just in a conversation with Ren Carthon the other day, just kind of shooting the bull. I got the sense that he really likes Hendon Hooker. Now, does he like him enough to draft him? I don't know that. But I got the feeling that he believes Hendon Hooker has a chance to be a good quarterback, and that the things that he processed at Tennessee will translate on some level at the NFL slot.
Terry, if they were to make one of those two moves, whether it's Hooker or Will Levis, do they basically get rid of Malik?
No, but they'll bring him in because he's on a rookie contract. He's cheap. They won't just move on from him immediately. But I do think that this certainly would put him on notice that he better get his act together if he wants to be anything other than a practice squad player or a backup this coming season, if they were to pull the trigger on either one of these guys here. Because, if it's Hooker, if they took Hooker, I don't know how much you count on him as a rookie, because he's coming off the ACL. So, it might be a situation where you just kind of let him work his way back in and be ready to compete fully in 2024, not wanting to put him in harm's way as he comes back from the ACL. With Levis, I think, obviously him sliding all the way through and out of the first round, I think that shows you that NFL teams were not nearly as impressed with him as the Mel Kipers and the Todd McShays of the world were, thinking that he would, be gone by the middle of the first round. I think that tells you that they think his game needs a lot of work. Not that there's not talent there, but that he's probably not NFL ready to be a starter from the jump and lead some team. He's probably going to be a project. Wouldn't shock me, George, if the Rams took a flyer on him. And I think they're like at 36, 37, somewhere in there.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't shock me if they took a flyer on him as a potential successor to Matthew Stafford once he hangs it up.
Terry, is there a scenario, as you look at this team, it's obvious among their many holes, they don't have any wide receivers, and I make the joke that they're going to have to run the wishbone, which obviously is not what they're going to do. But is there a scenario where a tight end who plays like a wide receiver is more likely than any of what's left?
Oh, absolutely. I think that's possible. If Michael Mayer is there at 41 somehow, I think that they absolutely would look at that and say, too good to pass up. And they could pair him with Chigakonkwo and go back to, a two tight end set that we've seen them use at times in the past. When Delaney Walker basically operated like a bigger, heavier receiver, but still made a lot of plays down the field, really more than any of their wideouts did. So I think that would certainly be an option if Michael Mayer was there. The other guy, Darnell Washington, probably more of a blocking type tight end, but still one who can catch passes and was part of that University of Georgia national championship team. I think, that's a guy that certainly would open their eyes at 41 if he happened to be there as well.
So, much has been made since Ran Carthon has been here, this whole collaboration thing. So far, is it Vrabel telling Carthon, this is what I want, or is it truly collaboration?
I think it's collaboration. I think kind of the way things, from the sense that I get, is that they have involved a lot of people in this process. The scouts, the assistant coaches, obviously Vrabel and Carthon, a lot of people, and gotten a lot of information gathering and a lot of opinions here, the rest of the front office and that sort of thing, and just kind of come to a consensus. Now, obviously, Vrabel swings a very big stick in all this because he's the head coach. And Ran Carthon said at his introductory press conference that his job is to help Mike Vrabel win football games by getting him the players that best fit what he wants to do to operate his system, as well as he can. So in that sense, Vrabel, has a lot of input. But I do think that they're kind of working in lockstep and being on the same page as they evaluate these players to say, okay, this guy fits what we do. This guy maybe doesn't fit. This guy's a need. This guy's not a need, that sort of thing. I do think that there's been collaboration, and I do think that, that it's still Rand Carthon that's pulling the trigger on making these picks, but it's certainly with Mike Vrabel's blessing on a lot of it.
So tonight, if your life depended on it, what are the two positions they're drafting?
Well, obviously quarterback could be in play, but I don't, obviously that would be with the round 2 pick. I don't think that would be the round 3 pick. I think that would be a round 2 pick. I think you have to add a wide receiver. I think you have to look at a tight end if one of those two guys are there. And then don't discount an edge rusher or cornerback that they really like getting in the conversation as well.
Terry, your belief all along was that they really didn't have the stuff to trade up. Is there any kind of trade down, trade something here to get more picks? Do you think that's a possibility?
Sure. I wouldn't discount that. I mean, it would be possible if there's a team that say they decide they don't want Levis or Hooker and one or both of those guys are still on the board at 41. There could be a team that would want to come up and say, hey, drop down to 45 or 46. You'll still get the receiver or the tight end or the pass rusher that you want. And we'll give you a couple of picks to do that. I could see a scenario where that worked out. Absolutely.
Give me somebody tomorrow, and I realize a lot of us tomorrow are like, oh, God, how much longer is this going on? But for this team, tomorrow's vitally important, and for the first time in a while, who knows, they might actually hit on a player or two. They certainly have had no luck in the later picks in recent years. Terry, is there a player or two that, because you cover them as close as you do, that they really like that we probably haven't thought about?
There's a wide receiver named Scott out of Cincinnati. I forget his first name. But he's a guy that they brought in here on one of those top 30 visits that could last until day 3. And that's a guy that maybe they would take a look at because, George, I think that they need 2 wide receivers out of these 6 picks, or if they can parlay it into 7 or 8 picks, all the better. But I think they need at least 2 wide receivers from this draft, just from a playmaking standpoint, but just from a numbers standpoint, because they really don't have a whole lot of guys on the roster at that position.
Okay, last thing for you. You sort of nailed it down to 2 quarterbacks, as everybody's been doing, Hendon Hooker, Will Levis. Is there a tier 2 quarterback late that it would not shock you if they drafted?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, they could always roll the dice with somebody. I don't know that they brought a lot of other quarterbacks in other than the 3 that were there regarded as the top echelon quarterback in, Hooker and Levis, and then, of course, Richardson, who was taken by the Colts. But, I could see them maybe going for the guy at Purdue, O'Connell, or maybe late, if he's still around. Some people have high regard for the kid at Brigham Young. I think his name is Jaron Hall.
Yeah.
Right?
I'll be honest. I like the kid at Fresno State better. Hayner.
You like the kid at Fresno?
Yeah.
Well, that's a possibility too. I mean, with these quarterbacks that really don't, that are really not regarded as first or second day picks, everybody thinks they're going to find the next Tom Brady doing that. Most of the time you don't. But, if you can find a guy who can come in and eventually be a second string quarterback for you, that's not a bad thing. I mean, they found Billy Volek a long time ago as an undrafted free agent. He eventually developed into a quality backup, played 12 or 13 years in the league doing that. So if they could find a guy late or even an undrafted guy like that, I certainly wouldn't rule out them doing something.
Terry, really appreciate your taking the time to do this. I know they've got the press conference with Skoronski today at 4:15. Keep us updated, and I know you will throughout the evening. Thanks for taking the time to come on.
No problem. Thanks for having me, George.
Terry McCormick from Main Street Media joining us to talk about what's going to happen on night number 2. But you know what? There's more going on than just that. There is NBA and NHL playoffs. We'll have Plaster Bet of the Day when we come back.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
Hockey in Music City just hits different. It's one big honky-tonk party. It's the sea of gold in the crowd, the goals, the saves, the celebrations. It's an experience like no other. Experience Predators hockey all season long. Visit NashvillePredators.com/season tickets and join the Loyal Legion today. That's NashvillePredators.com/tickets, and we'll see you at Bridgestone Arena.
For over 35 years, Wilson Bank & Trust has been committed to providing customized banking solutions to help individuals, families, and businesses in Tennessee achieve their goals. As your full-service community bank, we are proud to offer loans with competitive rates, local decision-making, and fast, friendly service from our experienced lenders. No matter where you are on your financial journey, Wilson Bank & Trust is ready to help you take the next step. Visit your nearest Wilson Bank & Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Family owned and operated for more than 2 decades, Alaco Fine Wood Floors is Nashville and Middle Tennessee's choice for premium quality hardwood floors. Since 1995, Jimmy Alaco and his army of employees have embodied the approach of taking pride in one's craft and providing superior customer service, growing from a one-man shop to a team of 23 professionals who share the founder's passion for quality craftsmanship and customer satisfaction. If you are interested in contacting them, you can find their headquarters at 2505 Winford Avenue in Berry Hill, or give them a call at 615-356-0303. Again, that's 615-356-0303, or log on to alacofinewoodfloors.com. Alaco Fine Wood Floors, serving Middle Tennessee's hardwood flooring needs since 1995.
At Baird, we have a different slant on global financial advice. That global capabilities mean nothing without personal attention. We have investor relationships in 35 countries and market expertise in over 40 industry verticals, all to help make the most important investment connections of all, yours. Global financial advice with a client-first approach. It's the shape of things to come. Discover the Baird difference at BairdDifference.com.
Hey, thank you for meeting with me today. The insurance company has made an offer.
Already? Wow.
They've offered you the entire policy.
Thank you, Blair.
You're so welcome.
Hello, this is Celeste Middleton, a State Farm agent in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. I want to help my neighbors and local businesses be proactive and assess their risk before something unexpected happens. We want you to have a thorough understanding of your coverages to have the best protection when you need it. We can create a personal price plan for you. Our team has over 70 years of experience helping people in Middle Tennessee. We have an awesome team with integrity and provide honest and prompt communication, and we love what we do and genuinely care about everyone we work with at our office. Give us a call at 615-895-2700. Send us a message at celestemiddleton.com or walk in at our office at 803 North Thompson Lane in Murfreesboro. We would love to earn your business.
Welcome back in. Final segment on a Friday. It is time for Plaster Bet of the Day, which is brought to you by Bart Durham Injury Law Firm. They're simply put the best in the business. They are lawyers that you can trust. Give them a call at 615-242-9000. Once again, 615-242-9000 or log on to bartdurham.com. Before we get to tonight's bets of the day, let's see what George did last night. And I see
I can tell you what we did. We took the gas.
A lot of red
tonight.
A lot of red this week, George.
So hold on a second. I got screwed over in the Boston Atlanta game.
What was that line?
Well, it was 7. Boston ended up winning by 8, but they were tied with 3.5 minutes left. The Celtics hit a pair of threes.
Daggers.
Al Horford. Listen, he may not look like a player, but I'm telling you, he's deadly.
He's still got it.
He has still got it. He killed me.
Tatum's dunk towards the end too, I thought was a statement for them.
Yeah. Now, Tampa was better last night.
Yeah.
I was ready for their funeral, and it just was not the case.
You get up 3-1 in hockey, it's tough to put the statement on them.
So we got 2 plays for this weekend, one in the NBA, and we'll show you the NBA one first, and that would be the Lakers. I believe the Lakers are going to put the Grizzlies out of their misery tonight, and then who knows what level of trash talk that LeBron and that group may fire back at the Grizzlies.
I don't know if they do.
I don't know if they do either, but it'll be interesting to see. The other piece of this is if the Grizzlies were to go out in round 1, what are the ramifications? Coaching change? Don't think so, but wouldn't put it past them. Maybe a reshuffling of the deck around Ja.
Yeah.
It's not a team that's easy to like.
No.
Not a team that's easy to root for. So I'm going Lakers tonight at whatever they call that place now. It's the old Staples Center.
Crypto.com arena.
Whatever that means. Lakers tonight at home. This is a series in the NHL where the home team has done some damage. And I'm going to go Minnesota tonight at home, Craig Leopold's team, to even that series at 3 and set up a 7th and deciding game. I would guess it would be Sunday.
Yes. Yeah.
So before we leave, I want to toss this out here. I'm working on doing a show, probably not next week, but the week after. Will center in on the Titans Stadium deal. I have raised an issue that I think is a legitimate issue, and that is we're not being told how many dollars the Titans expect out of PSL holders. For a good while, it's just been sort of lumped in this whole Titans and PSL. What does that mean? We don't know. Frankly, the Metro Council, best as I can tell, never asked the question. And so we're going to do a show and have some people involved that might make some sense in this.
That's going to be good stuff.
Yeah.
I think people need some answers.
Yeah. And we'll try. I'm going to try Monday to lay out the particulars of who's going to be there and who isn't. So that's it.
It'll be fun.
Billy, have a good weekend.
You too, George.
Okay, we're out of here. Let's keep our fingers crossed that the Titans do indeed hit on some of these 2nd and 3rd and 5th and 6th. And you know the story. We'll talk about it Monday. Have a good weekend, everybody.
I'm about to pull it up.